she is.
Sorry. I just went for a second. Continue. Wait a minute. Okay, continue. Here we are. Okay.
Suzi!
Oh my God. And I look like shit. Oh, it doesn't matter. I don't care.
No.
God, you're a goddess. We're not worthy. Suzi, welcome to the Metal Priestesses podcast. We are just generations of hard rock, punk rock fans, and we are massive fans of yours. Your movie is excellent. It's out now. So anybody listening who hasn't seen it, they need to go do that right now. But I won't hog the mic because everyone wants to talk to you.
But you'd like to hug the mic.
I would, but...
I see it in your eyes. That was hard for you to say. I won't hug, but I'm going to.
Hi, Suzi.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm Jenny Shore. I was in a band called Backstage Pass, and I just want to thank you for getting me through high school. You and my Les Paul Jr., and I think I found out about you at Rodney's English Disco.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I just want to say I watched your movie and I loved it, and come to find out that my new boyfriend from Australia was at Festival Hall in 1974, and that was featured in the documentary. It was December 5th, which means it was the 17th birthday, the day before, and he became you're a fan club member of yours in 1973, number 13.
God,
a lucky master.
Well chuffed.
And then all that is such good memories, you know. I mean, that was when I first started my hits, you know. 9-year apprenticeship, then I had hits. Yes, fantastic. And I'm glad that you both enjoyed the documentary because it wasn't easy. As you know, when I had to make it true.
You did.
Yeah, which everybody's reacting to that. The fact that it wasn't just, oh, she's wonderful. I didn't want to do that kind of film. I really had no interest in that. I didn't mind, what people said. I mean, I'm humbled by every compliment I got, but that was not what I wanted the focus of the film to be. And indeed, it was not. It was about the struggle and how you keep going and get to where you're going. That's what it was about, and it's important. It's important. That kind of thing is, and what you just said, I got, through your high school years. I mean, I'm going to say this now because you brought that up. I don't know what questions you've got, but because you just triggered a memory in me. I didn't know until this film was made and I watched it on the big screen. I didn't know a lot of these things. I kind of knew some of them, but not to the extent, you see it blown up on that screen and you're with an audience and you're feeling what they're feeling. So you're really you're almost like looking at a third person up there, it's a strange feeling. And I noticed that all the women that came on board, and I was going, geez, did I really do that? And then I was doing the She Rocks Awards in January, and I asked Cherie Curry to give me my award, which she did. And she went out on stage, and she started to do her speech, and she started to cry. And I kind of went like that, Then we were on the Zoom doing an interview for the documentary with Kathy Valentine, who also gave me an award the previous year. So I'm with Cherie, and Kathy and me were doing a big interview for the documentary. And Kathy starts to cry. Then I had my friend over here from Australia. She's in the baby animals called Suzi DeMarchi, very talented lady. And I took her up into my ego room because she stayed overnight. Took her up there, and she started to cry. So I called Cherie after the Zoom. About a week after the Zoom, I called my friend. She's my friend now. And I said, I just got something. And she said, what? And I said, I can't say I did this on purpose. I didn't. But what I did allowed all these women, which I don't do gender, but it has to be, say, women who felt like they had nowhere where they belonged.
That was my experience in high school, for sure.
And I gave them a place where they belong. And I tell you what, I will take that to my grave. I didn't know I did it, but I did it. And when I saw all this happening with this, that's when it took this movie for me to see that impact, because if I had been doing it for that impact, it wouldn't have happened at all.
Yeah, I am Jessie Jacobson. I'm a trans woman, and
You're a what? You're a what?
A trans woman.
Okay.
And so I can extend your influence even beyond people born female, because I was, I've known my whole life, and I transitioned when I was 44 in 2002.
That's old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did you wait so long?
Because it was a scary time to do that sort of thing. But when I saw
you, wait a minute, all you had to do was transfer your balls from here to your head.
Yeah, I tried that.
I had to be said. I had to say that. I couldn't help myself. Did it go boom, boom?
But when I saw you, when I saw you when I was in high school, I saw you, because even though, as the film depicts, there were some issues in America, my friends were tuned into all that kind of stuff. They were totally into glam and stuff. And while I know you were sort of associated with glam, didn't necessarily consider yourself that, when I saw that album cover with you on it, and I'm not going to say it's androgynous, it's very sexy, it's very female, but it did in the same way that, 10 years, however many years before the Beatles did. It's like I saw that and I thought, wow, like when I saw the Beatles, I thought boys can be girls, I thought girls can be boys. It doesn't really matter. It took me a long time to get there, but I want to say that was the influence. I went out and bought the album, not just for the cover. I'd heard a few of the songs, but it was like such an important moment for me. So you've affected me as well.
This is why I shy away from even saying female. I gave permission for you to be different, for anybody. You can be who you want to be. You don't have to follow the rules. I never followed any rules. Are you kidding? I'm a 5'2" little girl playing the space guitar that weighs more than I do. And everybody said, oh, you can't do that. I said, really? You can't sing like that, really? You can't walk like that, really? You can't think like that, really? Bullshit to all of it. My mantra is be who you are, no matter what it is, no matter what it costs. And this is what comes out in the film. Say if you all agree on this, what I strove to put in that film. Right or wrong, maybe I'm an idiot, I don't know. I will not compromise me. I will be me till the day I die. And if you don't like it, you can walk away. I'm not going to change who I am for anybody. I was always like that even when I was little, and that's hard. Everybody that's listening to all this, all you girls, it's hard to, when you're the square peg in a round hole, which I've always been my whole life. Yeah, and we all know this. Everybody is on this thing for a reason. When you're that, it's really hard to not scrape off a few of the edges and fit into the round hole, But no, because that's not who I am. This is who I am. And it is androgynous in a way. You said you didn't want to use that word, but really, I didn't really play the sexual card. I never did. I don't play it now. And it embarrasses me. The pinup thing embarrasses me a bit because that's not how I see myself. But it exists. You have something to say. I see in your eyes. You're next.
Is that me? Because I did want to say something.
Okay.
Suzi, I'm Marina, and I'm at Backstage Pass with Jenny and Jessie and Gwen, the procedural. And I got to see you early on too, which was amazing. But my question kind of falls in a slightly different direction. Yes, in your film, you totally get that there's no pretense in it at all,
yeah.
That you put yourself out there in a very, very real, authentic way. But my question is, I have a feeling that people have been asking you to make that documentary for decades. How did it come about now?
It's on I have two lists, by the way. I have a bucket list and a bucket list. This was on my bucket list. I did start to make one with a good friend of mine, Vicky Blue, who played bass in the Runaways many years ago. We became friends and we decided to do a documentary, maybe 20 years ago now, that documentary bit the dust because, without naming names, one of the people in it, after she had given the interviews freely, decided she didn't like the way she looked on the camera. So she said, I don't give you permission. So she took all her footage out and then put loads of pictures that she had given for the clips, for the documentary, onto the internet. So it got aborted, basically. And we were both very upset about it, but it really did kind of take the guts out of it. When you spend all that time and you give the interviews and all that, and you say, oh, I don't like it. Well, I'm sorry, but we all have to stand by what we say, and we do. Anyway, so this guy approached me about 4.5, maybe 5 years ago now, from Australia. He called me on the phone, and he said, I'm interested in doing a documentary of you. He introduced himself, and so I said, tell me a little bit about yourself. It was hilarious. And he said, okay, blah, 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 blah. And I just want to tell you before we go any further that I'm not a fan. I went, okay. Hilarious. I went, fine, that's a really good icebreaker. Okay, so he said, no, don't get me wrong. I love your music. I'm not a fan of that. I understand. 1,000,000%. I said, okay, fine. Why do you want to do the film? And he said, because I saw you talking on a talk show or on TV, and you fascinated me. And I went, so my first thought was, I don't care if you're a fan or not. I like your approach. I like your honesty. And I think that you will be objective, and I think that you will fight for your rights, whatever you want. And so I said, okay, you seem like the right guy to do this. And I made an agreement with him. Then we can go on to more questions. Right at the beginning, we agreed we're going to do it. And I said, okay, here's my only ground rules. And I stick by them religiously. I want editing rights because it's my life. It's my life. I will not use those editing rights unless it's a lie. Even if I'm totally uncomfortable, and you've all seen the film, there are moments in that film when I watched it with an audience due for my Q&A after the film, and I snuck in to watch it. There are moments in that film, every time I see it with an audience, I want to crawl out of the theater, out the door. There are moments, and every time I go, no, sit here, and I get the reaction and all that, and those, to me, are the most important moments in the film.
Those with your sister?
That was hard. To see her blow. You know, I love my sisters. I say that anytime. I love them totally. They're my family. As you can see in the film, family is very important to me, which it is. But to see that blown up, you know, you can bullshit yourself about a lot of things. And this has all been going on for a long time. So you can say, oh, they meant that or they meant that. No, they don't feel like that way. You don't get it. And then you see it blown up on the screen, and it's larger than life. And every little nuance, every little eyebrow, and you see it. And there actually is no denying it. So when I watched it, I went, oh. So all this that I tried to ignore, I can't ignore anymore. So yes, that was hard. I do love them totally. And I wanted them to have the platform to speak, which I gave them. I wasn't around for the interviews. That was all done by the director. I had no idea what he was going to ask them. I had nothing, wasn't involved, just saw the finished thing. And I'm glad that I gave them the platform to speak, and I would do it all the same again. I wouldn't change a thing. But neither of those two, the other one who I'm very close with, wasn't interviewed, my eldest sister. But these two have not contacted me since viewing the film, which I find even more painful than the Thanksgiving tape. But I'm trying very hard to go, you know, like this. But and I say this because I say, oh, I'm going to be tough and I'm going to be like this. But you can see it in my face. That's not who I am. And I think if I get hard about it, and I know you're all reacting to this, I can see all your faces. If I get hard about this situation and I put that suit of armor up and I become cold to it, this person will die. And so if I have to hurt, then I'll hurt. And I'll keep this artist alive. I'm sorry, I just got so serious there.
That's okay. We all have to face pain in our life, you know, and with so much grace.
We do. And there's no getting around it. And I actually am a walk through the fire natured person. I've been like that my whole life. People that know me well have always said that to me. Okay, so let's say, you know, I'm an allergy now. There's a fire there and you see it. So do you walk around it or do you walk through it? I walk through it. I don't walk straight through it. I walk through it, feel the pain, and come out the other side. That's how I get through life. And it just makes you more real. Nobody gets away with a perfect life.
No.
No.
You know, one thing that was really interesting to me watching this is when you watch documentaries about rock and roll stars and people, you're generally seeing like a lot of drugs and rock and roll in quotes and all that kind of stuff. And what was so great about this film and about your story is that wasn't your thing. You know, you weren't really involved. Sure, there was peripheral stuff going on, but it's so interesting to see a story that's different because almost every one of those other, you know, documentaries goes through this phase of drug addiction and recovery and all that kind of stuff. And there's no judgment on that. It's just that it was fascinating to see because, you know, I think a lot of us went through it. And so the way that you were able to sort of keep your head during that time, and you went through the 60s and the 70s, my God.
I know.
Right? Just
yeah,
right. But you came through it, and the thing for me with watching it was the focus on the family, and I think that was fascinating. And it was also interesting watching how the Mosts seemed to have become almost like a surrogate family to you. I don't know if that's true. But
No, they did. Yeah, they did. You're right on that. With the whole, you know, drugs thing and all that. I'm an old-fashioned, old-school performer, and I'm in the business because I absolutely love it. You know, I'm unashamedly love it. I don't need to get high on the stage. That's what does it for me. Mm-hmm. And I will spit wooden nickels if I have to until I get everybody in the audience going with me. I'm old school that way. I'm an entertainer in my heart and soul. Nobody taught me this. Nobody said, oh, do this in your show or scream like this. Oh, I always remember a funny story. And the person shall remain nameless. But they came to one of my, it's a person you would know, but I don't want to say the name because it's not nice. Anyway, they came to one of my shows in America. And, you know, I got them all on their feet and doing whatever I do. And after the show, they came backstage and they said to me, which I still can't believe, how do you know when to get them standing? I went, how can you ask that question? How do you know? If you have to ask the question, you will never know. Mm-hmm. What a question. How do you know when to? You don't teach somebody stuff like that. It's in the genes. It's in the DNA. Do you all know what I mean?
Yes, yeah. I do. Also know that being on stage is a total high on its own. It's just something that you think, why am I doing this? And when you get off, you're like, when do we do it again?
I do. At the moment, I've got myself now to the level that I love, even though I've been 56 years in the business. And this last 2 or 3 years, I've told my husband, because he books me, I want to do this. So now I do what I want to do. It's sold out shows, solo. So 2 hours with an interval, costume change, everything from the beginning to the end. That's maybe 36 songs I sing with the bass and jogging across the stage. And when I come off, my husband gets angry at me every time because he says, you're not even out of breath.
You know, I saw Leonard Cohen in one of his last tours, and he
Love
was
him.
running all over the place, and it was fantastic. And it's nice to see, you know, I think all of us, I can't speak for everybody here, but I think we'd all agree, we like performances. You know, we'd like to see people who are really putting themselves out there, not just standing on stage, you know, and not that there can't be good examples of that, but that's what I love about watching you in the documentary. You get all this like energy and this just power that you can't fake.
No, that's my point, and that's what I've said to everybody. I always get asked that question, why have you lasted so long? And I always have the same answer, because I'm real. I am not manufactured. I do what I do and I mean it. I mean it. If I ever find myself, and I've never done it yet, first of all, standing ready to go on. I never in my whole life, and I just watched a documentary of Elvis, who's like my hero. And I didn't know he said this till yesterday. And he was a fan. Couldn't believe he was a fan. But I saw it yesterday. I have said this for years, and I saw it by him on a documentary. I never knew he said it. I've always said, you don't rest on your previous night's show. Every audience is a different animal. That's my phrase. Every audience is a different animal. And it's like going to war. You have to beat them again. And there's no guarantee you will. So this is my attitude. Just before I go out, I'm going, and then I go, and you go to battle. But you should never, ever take anything for granted. I owe it to my audience to be and give the best of me at every single show. And that's how I run my life. You know, and my husband has said to me a few times, oh, you go through, you don't know how you're doing here. I said, no, that's not true. I might go out some nights and the audience will be more in tuned to my rah, or sometimes they want to hear the cuteness, or sometimes the sexiness. So everything's, and I have my ears on the audience all the time, and you give them what they need. That's what it's all about. They give me what I need. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. Say again?
Sorry, I've heard you've been to Australia 37 times.
I know.
Wow.
Oh my God. Those air miles. That jet lag. Yeah, I'm down in the history books as the most traveled there international artist of all time. Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing. I
Wow.
spent half my life there. I love it there.
They go crazy for you.
They do. I never get tired. I don't know what it is. I always think it's like one of those illicit love affairs that you should never get married.
Suzi, I have a question for you. I know you have a lot of fans who are older, but I bet there's a lot of young girls who come to your shows and have the same kind of reaction that we did when we were, when we first saw you play. Do you ever get to interact with young women who want to become musicians, who want to play in bands?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that. Can you say that again?
Yeah, sorry.
It cut out a little bit. Go ahead.
So I was wondering if you ever have an opportunity to talk to young people who also want to follow your footsteps into music.
What do you mean fans? Do you mean
Yeah.
I'm one of those people who I'm close to my fans. I'm close to them. I do meet and greets. I have a lot of internet, back and forth and all that. Oh yeah, I take the fans really seriously, and if they need to ask me something, I'm there. If they want, always. Oh my God, who would we be without them?
And what do you tell young women who want to start bands and play?
I've had so many different kinds come up to me. Some of them are very needy, and you are a part of their lives that is almost like a mother, or it's just so internal, And I will always, if there's something personal like that, if it comes up on Facebook, I'll say private message me, and I'll deal with you. Lots of girls that come up, a lot of girls that want to be like you, and I give them advice. The guys are the guys. They all want to tell you about your poster on their wall and what they did to it. And I say, thank you. I get the picture. And I don't understand why they always want to share that little bit of information with me. I guess they figure I was there. Thank you. Oh, and I think, yes, I got it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
I get that.
I'm very big on giving advice if somebody needs advice. And I think I can give good advice. I've been able to be non-gender to you up there, non-gender, but to you up there again, you know who I mean. I've been able to be non-gender and keep my female penalty card in my back pocket. That's important.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because the reason I hesitated on saying it is because, were initially referring to sort of the way that you dressed and the way that you presented yourself. But it does seem in your life that you don't let gender dictate. You know, you can do whatever you want. You can be a mother, that was in the film.
Yeah.
You know, you can be like the rock and roll and the one that all the guys want to tell about, hey, your poster was on my wall and I did this.
Okay.
As yucky as that may be. And you know, it's just, it's inspirational, you know, because it just shows that, of course there are differences, but the boundaries don't have to be what they say they do. It's what we talk about, the difference between sex and gender.
Sure.
Difference in sex.
Sure.
It's fluid, and you know, and I think that you're a great example of that, even in what you're telling us now that isn't necessarily projected in the film.
Yeah, that's and I like your input, because obviously you're in a very unique position. You know, you've been on both sides. So great, fascinating. It fascinates me. I will say though that when I pull my female card, it's interesting. I'm with guys all the time. It's still a male-dominated industry. So I'm the leader of the gang. I run the band. I'm the boss. I'm in the bar. I can tell the jokes. I can hear the language to a point. But as soon as it gets to a certain line, it's a line. I can't explain. There's a line. And then I just pull the female card and I say, stop. It's a useful card to have.
Did you ever have?
It's only when they go over the top. There's a word I won't hear. We all know that word. It's my least favorite word in the human language. Let's say they touch me wrong, you know, and I have kneed many men in the balls. I've done it many times. I've told them off and all that. But when they get too close, then I will pull the female card. But it's not even the female card. It's more the sensibility card, if that makes more sense. Like you're stepping on my boundaries now. It doesn't have to be female, but it's you're stepping on my personal boundaries. And this is what I tell the young girls of today when they talk to me. When they talk to me, say, what advice? I say, you don't have to be butch. You don't have to, you know, sell your soul to be one of the guys to be important. You have to be who you are. If you're a woman who enjoys cooking and you're a woman, then be that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm saying no boundaries. There are no boundaries. There's no gender to do anything. Be who you are, but stay as you are. That's what I'm saying. But I said at the beginning, do not compromise yourself. It's not to do with gender. It's to do with compromising your own sensibilities. Don't do that. And I won't do it. There was a time in the film, there was one comment in the film, out of everything that bothered me, and this bothered me more than anything, was one of my sisters said, Patty it was, she said, oh yeah, Suzi will always protect herself. Nobody will stop her. Not her kids, not her family, not her husband, nobody. And I thought, why should anybody want to stop me? That statement does not, would you want to stop anybody? Would any of you want to stop anybody from going their path? No. It just doesn't make sense to me.
No, and often it's men trying to stop women from pursuing their paths. And you know, so coming from your own sister, I guess that would be a really hard thing to hear.
Hard to take. It was hard to take. And I just had to go, okay, you know, so, but I mean, it's one of those things, you know, but, oh boy. I didn't do gender then.
You wanted to do plays and that kind of thing. You didn't always get support for that, and I thought that was incredible that you did that.
I'm now doing a movie of my life, and we're going to be reading through the script with actors in about a week's time, because the documentary reaction has caused this big ball. So we're doing a movie, and the Thanksgiving tape that was in there, which the whole audience goes when it comes on, and you hear the audience gasp. I couldn't do the film, the documentary, without putting that in. I still have the tape here at home. It sits in my drawer. That could have killed me. I'm in London on my own. I've taken a chance with my life. I followed my instinct and, you know, went there by myself with nothing but my bass guitar in my suitcase. And I got that tape on Christmas, my first Christmas alone. And I ran up to my bedroom, couldn't wait to play it, to be part of the family. And that's what came out. It could have killed me. But as everybody knows, all you strong girls there, you either sink or swim. And I swam. And with all the emotions, you know what I mean.
Yeah, how deliberate of a message do you think it was, the fact that it was sent? Was it just that was what was recorded and it was sent, or was it an actual, message for you?
This is a real good question, very smart question. It's strange. And we have to do this in the movie. We have to try to answer, or maybe we leave it ambiguous, I don't know. There's many things at play here, because there's many different reasons why it was made and why it was sent. It could have been that my dad was simply just pissed off that I left all his girls and went. It could have been that he wanted to beef me up, make me strong and show, and like give me a bit of fight. I don't know the answer to that, but all I do know is that many times after that was 1972. He came over to my house many times here in England. I saw him in America many times. We talked all the time. And this is what I addressed in the movie, and I'm not quite sure because the script isn't quite done yet. Why? Big issue. Why didn't I ever simply ask him why he sent the tape? Good question, though. Why didn't I? And I think maybe I was afraid of the answer. Maybe I'd already been hurt so much by the tape that I didn't want to know. Or maybe I held on to the pain to be the artist that I am. Who knows the answers for all these? But I never asked him why he sent it. And a lot of people here love him all over. A lot of my people here have loved him and met him. And they all say, oh, he didn't want to hurt you. Other people say, yes, he did. So everybody has a different take. What do you think?
I thought it was heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
When I saw that.
You think he meant to hurt me?
The way that I felt it was presented, no. But, how could it not?
Okay, but that was a good answer, you. So, not done purposely to hurt, but how could it not? There's your answer. So then it still leaves the question, why? Why was it done?
I've worked as a psychotherapist for a number of years, and these things are complicated. There is no one answer, and you already know that. But I think that it was. When I watched that, how they were trying to mold you into that sort of '60s type, what they saw a woman being, and the pleasure seekers and all that, and then you get to this point where it's like that could go no further, and Cradle was not the right vehicle for you, and you were different than the rest of them. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But families have a hard time seeing that. She's one of us. She can't be different. But of course, and I know that really well myself.
Sure.
So that's what I saw. So I think it's more, it's so complicated. You're right, and there isn't a specific answer. But I see all of that. All of what Elizabeth's saying, all of what you're saying. It's all probably true.
Yeah, that's good. I like what you said. That's good for my soul, and that made sense to me. And a big part of me says, I'll get through this, but the other parts knows I won't. I think I just have to accept that this is going to hurt, and that's how it is.
I think it's hard to.
You can't change it. You can't change it. What's been done, you can't.
I think they said it for. I thought it was for them, that they did it for themselves, more than thinking about how it would fall on you. Frankly.
Yeah. I can see, everybody that's talking right now, it's so funny. I'm a real people reader, which I am. I'm very psychic and I'm a people reader. But you are all have your own issues with this particular subject.
It's hard to be chosen, I think. I think it's hard to be the one that's chosen. And when you have sisters or you're in a band and they pick out you and choose you to be the focus, that's hard for other people to be happy for that person.
I agree. I can see that 100%. I understand that feeling. And I played to it for many years. I spoke about them all the time. Every interview I did, how talented the whole family was this. And so thereby not enjoying my own success for a long, long time. And I think what this documentary has now done is allowed me to release that part of it, that I can now just be proud of what I've done.
What is it like playing with your son?
Oh, I didn't expect it. He was talking to me for 3 or 4 years. He was always a guitar player, always in bands. And he kept saying, I need to write with you. And I kept thinking, no. You got to be Richard Tuckey, not Suzi Quatro's son. Same with my daughter. She's a fabulous singer. No. Be who you are. Find your way. And then he said, Mom, I need to write with you. I went, okay. And he was really, and I thought, okay, he's ready. So he showed me a riff. And I said, I can work with that, Richard. I can work with that. So then we wrote another one and another one. Then we went into the studio, just having fun at this stage, playing demos. And this is what I love. I love this story. So we're sitting down, never written before together, never played together before, never been in a studio together before. So we're sitting down doing 3 demos of 3 songs we've written, having fun. I got the scratch mic up here with my bass. He's across from me with his guitar, playing away. And he stopped. He went, oh my God. I said, what's the matter? He said, all of a sudden, I'm in the studio with Suzi Quatro. You could have cut the atmosphere with a knife. And I looked at him and I said, and he said, nothing, run the tape. So this was his baptism by fire. I know what he meant. But when I'm working, you saw it in the documentary, when I'm on stage, when I'm working, I am there. And it doesn't matter what relationship you are to me. I don't see that. I'm just doing what I'm doing. So then it became a great album. A third demo in, I said, oh my God, we're making an album. And he said, Jesus Christ, we are. And then I said to him and the engineer, I said, this is now that we've decided we're serious now. It's a serious thing. It's going to be an organic album. And I don't want any pushing of any songs in any direction. I want every song to have its own voice, and whatever happens, happens. And the critics raved about that. They said it was a wide variety, all Suzi. And Richard, he was clever. He said to me about 4 songs in, I want to remind you who you are.
What a
so
gift.
I grounded him.
Yeah.
But he did push my Suzi Quatro buttons, I have to say. Not that they weren't pushed.
No, Zoe, you're a huge fan. I know you have a question for Suzi. Jump in.
Hi, Suzi. So when you spoke about the way that you feel like you're intimately connected to your fans, I would just like to affirm that, just being on my side of things. I have corresponded with you a little bit. I'm from Detroit, so I was talking about getting your movie to screen here at the local theater where I volunteer at, and the Senate Theater. So you and I actually corresponded a little bit, and you sent me a very powerful message the day that little Richard died.
Oh my God, I remember that.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to say thank you very much, because the way that you describe being intimately connected with the people who really look up to you, that's true.
Yeah, I don't.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I always say, I'm humbled that I don't consider myself better than anybody, because and I hate the word even, famous. I've been lucky enough to be successful at my chosen job. That's all. Same as everybody else. We are all on the same page. My whole thing is connecting with people and everybody going the distance together. That's what it's all about. At the end of the show, you're high and I'm high, and what can be better? And we understand each other. I've always been the same, Love what I do.
But beyond the
Yeah,
luck,
absolutely.
there's
And
your persistence.
Say again?
Beyond your luck, there's your persistence, and that's obvious through the whole thing.
Well, here's a funny one. And actually, when we're done, if you guys don't mind, and I've got about 5 more minutes, and then I've got another one coming up. I got till 1945. If you guys don't mind, can you all do this, please? It's for my movie. And put your name to it. I have started doing about a year ago a word cloud. Okay, this will be at the beginning of my film, and I've asked people who know me, fans, friends, other musicians I know, blah, 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 to give me 3 words to describe me. Okay, so whatever 3 words you want to think of, it's fine. They go into the cloud. The most said word becomes the biggest word. And the reason I thought of the word cloud, so if you could all do that, please, and email it to me. The reason I said that was because, and I won't tell you all of them, but the one comes to the front, which is the biggest word since I started, it has not changed, is determined. You just said it. Determined. If I'm going there, I'm going there. And nobody's going to stop me. That's where I'm going. I can see you believe me.
I was going to say fierce.
Yeah.
Say again?
Fierce.
What about them? Do I have them?
You're fierce.
No.
Fierce.
Yeah,
Like
I'm thinking. That made me think.
a lion.
Yeah. God. I don't have any.
We'll email them to you. So you
No,
know.
sorry, not fierce. Fierce, like fierce.
Oh, fierce. Okay, I
Yeah.
am fierce.
Fierce.
But yeah, find your own words. Find your own words. And it's interesting what people write. Really interesting.
That's a great
Really
project.
interesting. Yeah.
Hey,
And make sure that you put your name to it so I know what it is and go into the word cloud.
Is there anyone else on the panel that wants to ask a question that hasn't had a chance?
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question. I had a couple of questions. One of them we might not have enough time for. One of the things that I was curious about was some of your favorite bassists. How you kind of, it seems like your bass style is very intuitive. You know, I noticed you play with your fingers. You don't use a pick, which I think is a bit unusual in the rock genre, especially. So I was curious about how that came to be, as well as influences.
Okay. It's
also-
okay. Yeah. No, go on. Go on.
The last thing I wanted to know is, you know, could you tell me a little bit about where you were the day Elvis Presley died?
Oh, you kidding me? Easy peasy. Okay. First of all, the bass playing. I'm a percussive-minded musician. I played drums. I can read and write percussion. I played bongos first. Then I went to classical piano, so I read and write classical piano. So it's all percussion instruments. I played in the school orchestra in the percussion section, first chair, which I beat all the boys, which is great. So start as you mean to go on. And then I taught myself bass guitar. So because I taught myself bass guitar, I wasn't a failed guitarist. I was a bass player. And I just automatically, my dad gave me my Fender Precision, and I played. I first played with my thumb, like that. I didn't know any better. So I had a big blister and a bleeding thumb. And then a band, one of the bass players from a band from the local dance hall, he came over to the house and he said, Suzi, this is all good. Here's what you do. And he showed me this. And I am an intuitive bass player. My favorites are Jameson from Motown, who I was weaned on. The guy from Red Hot Chili Peppers, what's his name? Yeah. And the Fleetwood Mac bass player is pretty good. Paul is good, but he's more melodic because he's from guitar to bass, different attitude. I'm a bass player. I have been told by all the musicians I've played with, bar none, whatever you do, Suzi, it feels right. So that's good. So I save my fanciness for like the solos and blah, 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 blah. But I am a bass player in my heart and soul. I'm not a failed guitar player. So it's a different attitude. With Elvis, quick story, and then I got to get the next one. As you know from the document, big fan. 5.5 years old. I looked at the screen, and it's crazy. Every time I repeat it, I can't believe this happened. I looked at the screen, and I said, I'm going to do that. And I knew. So there was something went on in my tiny little girl's mind. I'm going to do that. Stayed with me. I have like maybe 12 Elvis epiphanies. I'm going to make them short. So that stayed with me. 68, 4 years in the band. I saw the comeback special. And I decided leather. I was going to wear leather because I went, boom, boom. So boom, boom, gonna be like him, wear leather. So I got all that from him. Then I came to England and I recorded All Shook Up on my first album. Then I had hits, and then that was in 73, 74, I finally went back to the States. And you know the story, I was in Memphis and doing a tour, and All Shook Up was in the lower end of the charts in America, my version, and his people called me. I was in Nashville and in Memphis, and he got on the phone, surreal, and he invited me to Graceland. And he said, I always remember, he went, "Oh, this is Elvis." Oh. He did. I went, "I heard your version of All Shook Up, and I think it's the best version since my own." Oh. And he said, "I'd like to invite you all to Graceland." And I went, you should have seen my face. And I wasn't ready. I had 3 hits, and I thought, not yet, not yet, not yet. So I said, I'm very busy, so I didn't meet him. So fast forward, I'm then in America auditioning for Happy Days. And by the way, I recorded an Elvis cover on every album. So and I also heard from his ex-girlfriend who was there when he died, that he had been in Rodney Bingenheimer's on the upstairs floor staring at my poster, not sexual, staring at it because he found me, I didn't feel it was, staring at it because he found it interesting that there's this girl. So there's a real connection. So then I'm in America. I've done the audition for Happy Days. I met the director. I read the script. I went out and met Henry, the Fonz, and da-da-da-da. And they said, go back to your hotel room and we will call you. We need to discuss you, whether we want to hire you. And I said, okay. So I'm sitting in the hotel room. And this is after everything Elvis has meant to me all these years. And the phone rings. I put on the TV because I'm bored, put on the TV, turned it low. And I'm really sitting on top of the phone nearly. And the phone rings and I picked it up and they said, oh, Happy Days people, you've got the part. Not just for the 2-part episode that we wrote the script for. We'd like you to be in the show for at least 15 episodes. I said, fantastic. And right simultaneously, I'm on the phone with this news. The TV came and it said, newsflash, the king has died. It was the same moment I was on the phone. Now, you can't write this kind of stuff. You can't make it up. Is that crazy? And then when I came back, the story's really done now, I think. I came back to do my first episodes in November. Walked onto the set, and they brought this guy over, this old man. And they said, oh, we'd like you to meet the guy who's going to do your clothes for the series, for Happy Days. I said, okay. He said his name is Nudie. That's
wow.
Elvis's personal tailor. I went, what?
Wow.
What?
I didn't know that.
All these things that happened. So whatever happened to me at 5½, I was doing lots of shows with James Burton before the final story. And we got quite close, his guitar player. And I played him some stuff from one of my albums. And we were outside hanging around. And he said to me, I have to tell you something, Suzi. I said, what? And he said, I nearly died. You have the same thing Elvis did. I went, what? What? He said, the only way I can explain it is whatever you do is you. That's how, and I take that to my grave. Finally, I wrote a song called Singing with Angels. All of you, please Google it. It's become quite a cult hit. I wrote it inspired by Elvis. And I sent it to James Burton and Ray Walker from the Jordanaires, his original backing vocal group. And they got in touch right away, and they said, oh, God, Suzi, we get so many of these, but you know what? We love this song, so book the studio. So there I am in Elvis' studio in Nashville with his people recording my tribute to him.
Wow. That'll be our theme song.
Well, I actually end my show with it many times. My friend Vicky did a film clip of it at the session. And many times when I do my 2-hour shows, I'll say, this is why I do what I do. And here you go, watch it. And it's amazing. And if I'd met him, that song wouldn't exist. And I believe in stuff like this. I think everything happens for a reason. And that song was supposed to be written.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I better go. It's go.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Don't forget
Thank
to
you so
send your words in. Thank you, everybody. Interesting as hell to talk to you all. And all of you are welcome to keep email contact with me.
Thank you. I hope you come to
Thank you.
Detroit.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Suze.
Yeah, really a pleasure. Thanks, Steve.